All right, I think that's it. What's going on, folks? I realize it's a little bit late, but I figured what the heck. I missed completely that a video was released earlier today called Art and Design 2024 Player's Handbook. So, yeah, totally missed that this video was the thing. Um, I got so used to um WotC doing these premieres, right? Where they would thank you, Epic Randomness, for the like. I'm gonna give before we truly dive into this, I'm gonna give it a little bit to let some folks start to pile in. But yeah, basically last couple of weeks, right, we've gotten this like nice, predictable list of um videos where they would do like a premiere, right? So the way it works when you upload a premiere to YouTube is you upload the video and you tag it as a premiere, which gives it like a release time. And then it has like that countdown that we see at the start, right? The countdown, and then all of a sudden it rolls into the video. Now they had done that premiere for every single class reveal up until basically till they went through all of them, and they were releasing every day at noon. So basically what I did is I just went to the D&D page, didn't see a premiere, and then just clicked away, not realizing that they'd had this video set to release apparently at noon today. um so we're gonna go ahead and look through this. Now we already had a video on dragon redesign, so we already heard about that. So this is, I'm guessing, just the entirety of art and new stuff that they kind of want to show off. It is a 20-minute video, so we'll just see what it's about. It starts off kind of just showcasing the player's handbook. um so yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. By the way, I had spoken to some folks about. Remember, I told you guys I have the 2024 Players Handbook, and I asked about like the updated version. So I asked about that on Friday. I received an email back relatively quickly saying they were hoping to have it by COB Friday. That didn't happen because I guess the person in charge of sending those out is pretty swamped. But they did reassure me that it was mostly just small grammatical updates, no real mechanical changes. I'll reserve my rights to see if we can get that beforehand. But just as a heads up, it looks like hopefully sometime maybe this week we'll have the kind of, we'll call it the print version, if you will, of the 2024 Player's Handbook, the most up-to-date current one. So anyway, that being said, let's go ahead. Oh, you can also see I have my unboxing rig set up over here. I filmed 3 unboxings earlier today. I have a bunch more unboxings to do. I have that brick of Vecna Eve of Ruin minis. We're going to do that as a live stream. I think that'll be more fun as a live stream because you get to see the randomness of what we get to open. But that being said, it is 2:30 in the morning. I don't anticipate like a ton of people showing up. Not as much as there would be had we, say, released this video at like noon when it came out, or 4 o'clock, or what have you. But we're just going to go ahead and dive in because this will also work out well if you're over there on YouTube and you're watching this after the fact. You'll have this video kind of self-contained. I also released a video regarding subclasses. I'll make a post about this, in the morning to just remind people who might have missed this on the overnight. But we're going to have a bunch of videos coming out aside from just these coverage if they're going to continue to cover and release content every day. So let me just make sure. Yeah, I think we should be good. Make sure we're still coming through the headphones. We are. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and dive into. We'll go at our 1.25 times speed. That's pretty much our standard here. And we'll see what's all about art and design in the Player's Handbook. Here we go.
We have a new Player's Handbook, and the layout blows my mind. It is some of the best layout I've ever seen in my life in a book. This art feels like it's flying.
Here, Melf's Acid Arrow. Oh, look, we actually are getting the text. Take a look at this. You can actually read the text on the sides here. But it says, the daring wizard Melf takes aim at a rampaging troll with Melf's Acid Arrow. And you can actually see Melf casting that spell. I'm guessing this is mass suggestion over here from the wording.
Flying out at me. And that feels like a very intentional layout design. Is that correct?
That is correct. That particular concept was called Portal. It took.
Oh, hang on. Take a look at that. Let's see.
Like it's flying out at me. And that
Pause
feels
it
like a
just
very
a sec.
intentional layout design.
Look at, do you see this right here? It says wizard on the side. Looks like the spells themselves in the spell section will denote who can cast those spells, right? Based on the fact that it has a parentheses here. So this looks to be mass suggestion.
Is that correct?
So it looks like the spell.
That's correct. That particular concept was called Portal. It took its inspiration more so from proto-Renaissance and medieval religious art, like altarpieces, things that were meant to evoke a space that allowed a transference between worlds. The core books are your portal into a completely different world. So that's where that sort of framing mechanism originated from.
The art for the new Player's Handbook has a very deliberate and intentional style.
Here's our tiefling art showcasing a variety of different tieflings. This here says abyssal tiefling, presumably one of those is infernal.
Style that I've never seen in a D&D book, where I feel like a story is always being told.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In a much more in-depth way. Warlock Pact of the Great Old Ones is amazing. It's one of my favorite pieces because they're just standing there in front of the ocean, and all the tentacles are erupting behind them.
Oh, yeah.
And like with all the warlocks, their patron is always visible.
There is. Have fun finding them. But that one in particular, if you notice, she's perhaps got a little missing eye. And one of our sorcerers has a jar with a little green eye in it. Did they trade?
Wow.
Are they friends?
Oh,
Maybe.
interesting. I like this.
Wow. Maybe not friends. See, that's
Interesting that they are going to the level of telling this kind of story, which is nice to see. You know, just giving us a little bit of like Easter eggs within the art. It's unnecessary. You don't need to do that, but that's kind of fun. And like I said, regardless of everyone's thoughts on whether you like the content or you like the concept of even having this content at all, I think we can all come together and agree that the artwork is fantastic.
the kind of stuff I absolutely get obsessed with.
Yeah.
This is
Here's our mage armor look and magic missile in one.
a very art-heavy book. I
It
feel like
is.
even if you weren't
So turns out we have the art here in the official thing. Rival mages use shape change to transform into a beholder and a behir during a magical duel. So it is not technically a beholder with a beard. It is a wizard who has shape changed themselves into a beholder and a different wizard who has shape changed themselves into a behir. So there you go.
reading the book, you would understand D&D
Yeah.
just visually flipping through.
We're also being a lot more comfortable showing us text. A lot of it was very blurred out in older images of this. We're getting a lot more text on screen here.
Yeah, a book, especially with how big these are now. Like, it's grown.
Look at the size of the new player's handbook compared to the current player's handbook, as well as the newest book that's coming out, Quest from the Infinite Staircase. This thing is like double thick.
Since we've last met 10 years ago. And I know that picking up a book like that, knowing there's rules inside and content to comprehend, especially if you're a new player, that can be like, at least for me, it would be immediately a little bit intimidating. But then if you open it up and you see, oh, wait a minute, there's these pieces of art that's complementing the text, that's, showing
Big B casting looks like Big B's hand.
what the spell describes. Hopefully that'll kind of pull people in a little gentler and make the transition a little bit easier.
Art is done a certain way at the beginning of every class, and art is done a very specific way for every subclass. So I feel like even visually, if I was like just throwing through the book, I'd probably know where I was.
This handbook, more so than maybe any in the past, has really had a lot of scrutiny in terms of like user experience. I would say that the communication design, the bare bones graphic design of this book, Jeremy, Chris, James, and Wes deserve a graphic design credit just as much as I do, or Trish, or Tristan, because a lot of the changes you will see in the book are about hierarchy, making things more scannable. Even like something as minute as making the page numbers bigger and scooting them out to the edges more, because this is a guidebook. Making decisions around
Here's more art of the armor.
hierarchy, shifting.
Oh, okay. Looks like no new armor. right? Heavy armor, ring mail, chain mail, split mail, plate armor, medium armor is hide, chain shirt, scale mail, breastplate,
Type
half
styles
plate,
and
padded leather and studded leather. Also looks like everything remained the same, so don't expect any new armor types here in the player's handbook.
it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but it's probably the most impactful from a communication design perspective in that it's allowing folks to scan and use this book in a more impactful and faster way.
That feels like the entire book. Like it's a very easy read, and it's a very easy book to know where you are at. And there feels like a momentum even when you're building characters. Like you have even art that is like line art, black and white line art that's there while you're making your character, and then things build up, and you start picking your subclass, and now the subclass art is all very colorful, and fully realized. It's just kind of a remarkable experience as a book, especially as someone who's grown up with every player's handbook, to see how things have progressed.
And that's the whole point of D&D, right? It's storytelling. So there should be storytelling in all of the art. You should be able to look at a picture, and there should be something there that tells you that there's more than what you see.
I'm weirdly obsessed with the Oath of Vengeance Paladin multi-class with the Warlock, Pact of the Old Ones. The fact that we're seeing multi-class art is fantastic.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We spent a lot of time on all the character designs for the subclasses.
Oh, interesting. So they're legitimately showing you the multi-class design. Because this looks to be, I think, the art that we've seen for the Vengeance Paladin with the tentacles here, the Great Old One. That's pretty cool. I never realized that.
As well, so just being able to mix them, and especially in one image, was pretty great. And that was one of our favorite combos too. That sort of edginess of the Vengeance Paladin and sort of the
here's the
tentacle
Vengeance Paladin
weirdness, right, of the Ancient Old One. So you get some nice combos there.
Is there one piece that is like a personal favorite, or is that too?
Oh, I have a lot of pieces that are personal favorites. The one that actually sticks out the most for me is not what you would expect, but there's an illustration of this little gnome talking into a crystal ball with what looks like their mom or grandma or somebody, and they're just having like a really nice conversation with each other, but it's authentic to the world in a way. It's like, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, they might just be talking to each other, like as a family, like they're catching up, like almost like the phone. So that's probably one of my favorite pieces. It's really charming and it's really sweet. If I had to pick another piece, I think I really love the glamour bard.
That goes hard.
The rock star, the rock star.
This art's fantastic.
Wild sort of
very dazzler,
place, right?
very
You see that.
gem.
I think the bard is a good example, but I think all of the classes do that, of trying to show how the different class overall plus the sub.
I would love to see people cosplay that particular character. So obviously you all want to cosplay your own. If you're going to cosplay, you want to cosplay your own characters, right? Like that's kind of the whole reason you would do something like that. But some of these existing characters are pretty solid. For like, it would be a cool thing to see some people cosplay some of the subclass art, and the glamour bard is one that I would love to see brought to life.
Classes can be different. So whether it's like the subject matter of like dance versus glamour, or is it just even like,
ooh, interesting, showing the concept art here. Very cool.
the type of personality that could embody all of those could be totally different. So the glamour bard is also a personal favorite that I like to play. So when that one was being included in the 24 FPH, I was like, yes, this one, I want this to be the rock star. We need to make this the rock star.
Spell art is really fun because you are given some boundaries. There are things to work with. The spell needs to work a certain way. It affects a certain area, right?
Yeah.
A certain space. If it's one of those, like say the fireball spell, if you might have seen
This art, dude. For Fireball, look at this.
that one. It's a wizard casting this incredible, it almost looks like a thin, streamlined flamethrower, I'd say. So that interpretation of it was spectacular.
Wrecking those spiders.
And there's maybe an empty clearing in a forest full of spiders, and she is just having a ball and clearing the.
Oh, I definitely have, actually. Hang on. Let me. We'll pause for 1 second. Hang on. Take this moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I forgot that thing is on automatically. So, for those of you you mentioned about, I love to get character art if possible. That's a thing I'm a huge fan of. And I've definitely cosplayed a variety of characters before, but I've actually been working on something for my Vecna Eve of Ruin character at the moment. So it's not done, but it's in the works, and I'm doing a pretty good job of getting things together. I still have to darken the robes. They're a little too light colored for me. I have to finish off this staff. I need to sand off the rest of the bark and then restain it. And then I'm gonna affix this. I have a orb made of actual Baltic amber that I'm gonna affix to the top of the staff. So I have work to do on it. But yes, to your point, yes, I have done cosplay of my characters. This will be fully completed at some point once I get a chance to finish dyeing and darkening the robes up, because I'm trying to get the robes to match the hat. Kind of looks very traffic cone orange right now. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
The area, and it's like the lighting of that, along with just her pose and like just the confidence is, it's eerily it's so thrilling.
I love seeing the Hunger of Hate art.
Well, the goal. So just real quick to your point in chat, right? You look like you could fit in with Gandalf, Radagast, and Saruman. The character's name is literally Theodore the Orange. Like that was the goal, was to be essentially the orange version of like a Lord of the Rings style wizard.
How horrifying Hunger of Hate art is, because it's a horrifying description, but you also see the art behind that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Right, and it's always a learning experience for me, especially for somebody who does not play a spellcaster, to be like, well, you know, to read the description and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna add, like, I dyed those robes. I'm going to take a little, like, I'm gonna mix some orange with some brown dye, like a little bit of brown dye, not a lot, just a tiny amount, and then darken them up that way. And then, yeah, probably throw them in the dirt.
I'm going to be commissioning that to be depicted, and then have it come in, and then, you know, have Jeremy kind of look over it and be like, well, it needs to be a little bit more like horrifying.
We have to talk about the familiars.
That's what I wanted to talk.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this art yet, but it is one of my favorite pieces. So I'm excited if they showcase it here.
Okay, so find familiar spell. Did you know it just wasn't a regular owl?
It's so perfect because it shows you that you don't just
Come on now.
have to summon a standard owl. Like, it can have a personality. It can be quirky and strange.
Oh,
Look at this little, like, these are Pokemon. Let's be honest, right? I mean, that's a starter. That ferret on the left, or that weasel, that's a grass type Pokemon. Look at it. It's got leaves coming out of its shoulder, right? Like, that is the grass starter for the next Pokemon game. Without question, right? Like, come on now.
we're fighting like oozes that come at us. Why would we just have I mean, we can just have an owl, but I mean.
Also, whatever the hell that eyeball thing was at the bottom. It's like an eyeball crab thing, spider.
I mean, we can just have an owl, but I mean, it's so funny that I've always thought, oh, Find Familiar is, you know, this very sweet, mundane creature, and to have the
Big stretch on the cat here.
artist say, like, it can actually.
Yeah, look at that. These look fantastic. Whatever kind of frilled lizard this is, the owl with the top hat and like the little cape collar here. Yeah, this is what you should be doing, honestly, with your familiars. Is you can make them obviously look like whatever you want, but like you could take this kind of liberty without any issue, because that's part of the casting of the spell. For example, Theodore the Orange, my wizard we were just talking about, his familiar is a beagle, which just looks like my beagle, but that's besides the point.
Be wearing a top hat,
Yeah.
or be just a completely bonkers spider creature was just so delightful. And I'm like, oh, this shows the example to the players of what it could be.
What is it about ugly cute?
What is
Like
it?
the giant eyeball with spider legs is like kind of cute.
The little teeth around
Yeah.
its eye?
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I didn't notice
mean,
the
this
teeth.
could be hanging out on your shoulder. It's fantasy at its best.
No, thank
because
you.
you know, this is your familiar. So it's going to be your little buddy.
The art and the design does such a great job of explaining what D&D is visually. Everything feels like an education, like edutainment, right? Like every piece of art is like fantastic, but they're also demonstrating something now. Like you look at Warlock art and you understand a lot more about Warlocks.
Oh yeah.
The Wizards, same thing. Like you feel who this person is about, and that comes down to like the artwork for the different species, and that comes down to
Got our boy Drizzed there in the back.
several different key parts of like even the cover art and stuff like that. Like it's all informative of what this experience is.
I think a great example that turned out even, I think, well in layout, but also just in the art itself and how it's presented is like the weapons and armor. It's like the first time I'd actually like
Okay. I'm actually not on the night shift right now. Not right now, anyway. I'm just not tired. I'm still, I think, I don't know because I didn't test, but I was really lethargic the past couple days, so I'm pretty sure, like, and actually for like almost like a week or two. So I think I might have just had COVID and not realized it. And like because my body still hasn't reset from the night shifts that I had previously, like I come alive at 11 p.m. basically, which is annoying, but it is
Seeing
what
height
it is.
armor depicted, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would wear that. And understanding like the difference between a
Hunter, your point in the chat here, right? It does kind of make the 2014 book look boring and dull.
pike and a lance and a spear, actually seeing, I was like, oh, okay. That section's astounding. Basically the Sears Roebuck catalog of Faerun, so to speak. But it's seeing every piece of armor and all of the weapons that you find in the equipment section.
Here you go. If you wanted to know what the difference between a mace and a light hammer and a club, great axe versus battle axe, glaive versus halberd versus pike versus flail, here you go.
Visualize is super satisfying, and that was a nice little Tetris puzzle to pull together as a layout.
Yeah, I almost want a minigame where I'm just like, okay, this is my subclass. This is my background, literally in the background, with the background art, which is intentional as well, right?
Absolutely. That is another huge visual addition to this player's handbook. You're not seeing a person visualized because that's not what it's important. It's the environment that you came from that sort of defines your, who defines who you are. And being able to see those environments, we have astounding art, and they're all sort of like landscape visualizations of a place. And that was another one, similar to the subclass being always verticals on the outside of the page, deciding early on, this is how we're going to do backgrounds. How would layout work with that? And doing a unique layout instead of just like the 2-column format.
The species art is very much setting the table for
Here's the tieflings again.
what these species are kind of about.
Yes.
Or like getting a sense of like different members of that species. Like the Goliaths are moving this giant pillar
Here's
of
Goliaths,
rock. You've
yeah.
got gnomes all working to kind of build
Their little construct.
their little constructs, which I love, and they each have their own individual personalities. Like,
Yeah, there's so many wonderful, again, storytelling details in the species section. The artist did some really
Elves?
gorgeous knockout framings for the elf species section. Like you can see the architecture knocked out from it's just beautifully done.
Looks like
And
Lord
then,
of the Rings.
The dwarf species opener, like they're working.
There's
You know
dwarves.
they're working on.
Do you know, this dude's got a tattoo of a beard? Do you see that? Like his arm is a tattoo of a beard.
Some amazing, like well-made, maybe weaponry or something. But then there's also someone coming to deliver some baked goods,
Yeah.
and a little child who's learning maybe the ways.
Looks like his
of,
beard?
Dwarven fine artistry. There's just
Oh, wait a minute. Do they have each other's beards tattooed on their arms? Like that's kind of what that looks like.
so many little details each one, and the orc one is so
Here's the orcs.
charming too. Like you just see a family, like a community,
Yeah.
and everybody. There's so much personality in each of these. It gives it so much more depth too.
Humans?
You're like, what kind of community did I belong to?
yeah, which of these am I?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the new player's handbook, it does feel like a love note to the history of like D&D art because we have some of the styles are from older books.
Yeah.
And some of the styles are styles we've never seen before. And it feels like it's so much from the past, but so much from the future as well in terms of style. It's fascinating to watch. Even listening to like Tyler Jacobson talk about the cover, trying to evoke some of those older Easley paintings
Yeah.
in the cover. There's even a piece of art that is showing off different worlds. You see Raceland and Caramon fighting off a wyvern. I feel like all the art is kind of showing you a multiversal.
Crazy wyvern. That was Dragonlance. Here's the D&D cartoon characters here.
view of D&D, but also the history of D&D all at once.
Right. I mean, there's so much of it. There's 50 years of it. And that's not counting how many worlds that our players have built on their own. It's being able to nod back to our past and all of the things that mean so much to people, and then
Here's this looks like Eberron. This is actually Jeremy Crawford's character, Vi. You know her from the Acquisitions Incorporated games. So this is Eberron here. You can see Warforged and some of the different what are these, Steel Predator or something they're called.
continue to move it forward and expand our
A lot of
worlds
Warforged
to have more
here.
people join us.
What did you enjoy most about working on this?
What I enjoyed the most was that we tried a lot of things. There was a lot
Here's some really awesome art showcasing characters in game and out of game?
A lot of process and a lot of iteration for all of the design work. And
Okay. Also, I was hoping they would showcase this one.
I think
Do you see this? Like, here they are in game. Somebody's opening a trap chest. This dude kind of looks like Shazam, even though I know he's like a light cleric, maybe based on the sun. And here's our rogue, but this gives me just like Shazam vibes. But can we talk about here at the table how there's somebody Skyping or Skyping as in the Skyping as in the verb, but basically is video chatting in here on a laptop. You see that?
what we hope is that when players pick this up,
So here again, here they are at the table, that same person from the looks of it. But previously they were, if we were to go back just a few frames, they're down here on the bottom video chatting.
I think what we
As you can see them right there.
hope is that when players pick this
And
up,
then here
that
it
they
looks
do
like
not
they're at
see
the table
a lot of
here.
iteration. They see
And here we can see all of their characters, right?
a clear and understandable piece of design and presentation of
Showcasing rolls, right? Here's a natural 1, a natural 20, and a 12, so like right in the middle. By the way, my good buddy Jake, I'd like to point out that the number, very much like your set of dice that you use every week, they chose yellow to represent the die that shows the natural
Game
1
mechanics and
in the 2024 Player's Handbook.
information. So that collaboration, that iteration, that was my favorite part of this. It's made for a very long process, and it's been one that's we've all been working on it on the side while working on other products through the over the course of the past couple of years. But it feels like it's coming to fruition in a very satisfying way.
Do you have non-graphic design things that are your favorite in the book?
Yes, the art goes without saying. I think is sort of like the showpiece of like flipping through the book. You will always be blown away by that. But I think one of the cool things that I got a window in this couple of years of iteration working on layout was getting a little bit of a glimpse into the mind of Jeremy Crawford, and that how little hierarchy changes in game mechanics and in rule sets make for a huge difference in how you not only read and sort of ingest it, but how you understand it. And I just found that like truly fascinating by how just like changing a sentence to something with like a list or changing hierarchy and using a sans serif typeface before a serif typeface. Like those little decisions, there's a lot of thought that goes into them. And hopefully you don't notice it, because if you don't notice it and you grasp the information or are able to play without thinking about it, then we've succeeded. So that is my favorite thing that I have seen over the course of the past couple of years, getting a little glimpse of how that works from a game design perspective.
We're almost at the print review, final print review. How does this feel for you? It's been a few years.
When I'm holding that first copy, it will still probably take me a while to think it's real, but it feels good, because the team of us worked on this book. We worked I mentioned it several times, that collaborative experience of iteration and working together to make sure every piece none of us were working in silos. We were very much a team on this. Not that we aren't in all the products that we work on here, but this one felt specifically
All hands on deck.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
chunky that book is.
It's wild to think that it's almost finished. There's not one part that is my favorite.
I would love a book of just the concept art, because I think, I'm thinking they obviously chose like the best art, right? Is probably what they chose for the final product. But some of the concept art, I like the design of the concept art better than the final piece they chose for the book.
It's the people I get to work with. It's the artists that
Like this, like that's the soul knife on the left, right? That's very similar to the final soul knife art that we got. But look at these other two.
I feel so like I'm their fans. They are the ones, like making all of this happen. I get like, I get a little, it's the artists I get to work with, to do the back and forth and to hear their ideas and to be inspired by them. It's getting to work with Matt, my graphic designer, and just see how thoughtful he is in presenting the information, because 10 years ago, I was the one in his seat, and I'm just blown away like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, I wish I had thought of that. And I'm constantly learning everything from, Jeremy and Dash and all of the leads, all of the writers, the editors. There's so much
the concept art
consideration and so much love put into these books. Like, getting to just be along for the ride and learn from these wonderful people is my favorite part. So
How important is art to the legacy of D&D?
each edition has kind of had a look to it. I think people people look back on the edition that they played or that was meaningful to them, maybe where they started, and that holds a very special place. Like
So
you know,
true.
I think to be able to contribute to being a part of that visual legacy, I think is pretty wild, and to also shepherd it forward and to continue to evolve it and bring more artists in and expand the ways we can depict D&D, I think is pretty awesome.
When you
Yeah, I never really thought about like just it's one of those things you kind of subconsciously think about is like the concept of what you consider to be like D&D art is largely dependent on what edition you started playing in. So like if you started with like first edition, then you probably have very fond memories of those kind of like black and white artwork from the original first and second edition monster manual. But like for me, third edition is where I started, so that's like what clicks for me. Like when I think of quintessential D&D art, I think of the art from like the 3.5 players handbook and things like that. So for a lot of people out there, probably the majority of the people playing the game, 5th edition art is what they know. So this is a very interesting concept to see, because right where this is the first time for now, I don't know, we don't have the numbers on like how many people played D&D before 5th edition came out. But we all know that the number is drastically higher than it ever was, from whether that's because of the popularity of the system, things like Critical Role and other things that people have a very vested interest in. So I'd love to see, what that number is, like how many more thousands or hundreds of thousands of people have started playing D&D only from 5th edition to now. COVID definitely helped. Mark, you bring up a good point as well. But my point is, all of these people are getting into D&D within the past 10 years. So they don't have the experience of like living through edition change. And we're kind of not getting an edition change, but we kind of are, right? This is very much a 5.5e. But for them, that front cover of the 2014 Player's Handbook, that's their Player's Handbook. That's what they remember. And now they're dealing with something new, or like the quintessential piece of art that they might have known or loved from the 2014 Player's Handbook has now been possibly updated, removed, or replaced entirely. I believe there is like one or two pieces of art from 2014 that made its way into the 2024. So that'll be like a little nostalgia callback for those folks. But like this is shifting the narrative of what, if you're starting now and you're going to jump in with a brand new books, like this will be the art that you remember Dungeons and Dragons by. When people tell you to think of D&D art, this is what you'll think of. A lot of people think of like Larry Elmore paintings. That's what they think of. So yeah, 5e grognards. It's a joke, but it's true though, right? There are a lot of people, I'm sure, just based on what I see in the comments alone. Hunter Dragoon, yes, this very much reminds me. I'll get back to my statement in a second. This very much reminds me of the transition from 3.0 to 3.5, like in a lot of ways. But yeah, 5e grognards is a thing, right? These people like this, there are tons of people out there that are like 5e's fine. I mean, again, we all talk about how probably nobody is playing 5e raw, like based on what's written from 2014 at this point, unless they're just picking up the books. Most people have evolved it to be whatever works best for their table. But there are definitely people out there essentially complaining that like, why are you changing 5e? Things work so well. It's not a huge majority. A lot of people are like, we need something new, but they're like, don't change it. It works fine. And it's just like, well, that's probably how everybody felt about previous editions, where they're like, why are you making a new edition? What we have works fine. And, I mean, for example, third edition and 3.5, that was iconic because they moved to that was the changing of the guard from TSR to WotC, right? So first, second edition was all done by TSR. Wizards of the Coast acquires the rights to Dungeons and Dragons. Third edition is their first foray into D&D officially themselves, not tied to TSR. That's what third edition was. Then we start to see the rise in popularity of MMORPGs. So much so that a lot of people remember that D&D used to have attack ads against, like, I mean, attack's a strong word, but attack ads against MMORPGs in like magazines. I vividly remember this piece of art in a Nintendo Power magazine where it was like the back cover of the magazine, or like inside the right inside the back cover, and it showed like a dude in his basement, or really leaning into the stereotype, with a computer, like an older CRT computer monitor, and he was like, or something, I forget. And the tagline was for Dungeons and Dragons third edition, and it had the D&D third edition logo. And it was just like, if you're gonna stay in your basement and pretend to be an elf, why not do it with friends? And I think this maybe was more to like target like EverQuest players or something like that. But yeah, that was basically like, those exist somewhere. Was power creep more prevalent in 5e or 3.5? Not as familiar with this as current edition. Uh there, I guess power creep, not necessarily, I don't know. So when you changed from 3.0 to 3.5, almost everything that appeared in 3.5 was better in almost every possible way, and in some instances more powerful. So in that way, this is another reason that the 5.0 or 5e to 2024 is more reminiscent of 3.0 to 3.5. Let's see if we can find the D&D 3E ads. Let's go. Magazine ads. See if we can find those images. Let's see. I see a lot of it in Dragon Magazine. I wish I could find one. I know they're out there somewhere. And then, obviously they changed from third edition to fourth edition, I think, really when the rise of the MMO became like super popular. Kind of when WoW was really blowing up, and everybody had their MMOs that they were playing, right? There were so many different MMOs that were present constantly. Obviously, a lot of those have backed off, but there was MMOs happening all the time. And I think that was part of the reason why fourth edition exists. Fourth edition was a lot more video gamey. In fact, it launched with its own kind of MMO in Neverwinter the MMO. So, and I think that was kind of the thought process, was like, we'll make our game more like a video game, more MMO like, to appeal to all of those people. And that was kind of that's at least how I interpret the changes done in fourth edition. And it obviously didn't go over well, because I think the people who were playing Dungeons and Dragons and the people who were playing WoW, there was obviously some cross pollination there, but I think people wanted them to be separate. Like, if I'm going to play an MMO to play an MMO, I'm going to play D&D to play D&D. I don't need them to kind of feel like the same thing, which ultimately led to one Pathfinder existing, because they didn't like, it was an update to the 3.5 rule set to kind of bring more things in balance, and then also to get away from the changes to fourth edition. And then ultimately what led to fifth edition was kind of the lack of sales. So they sort of returned to form in a lot of ways back to what we saw in the 3.5, but not quite as in depth there. Let's see. Let's try D&D 3.5e magazine ads. Let's see. Nintendo Power, maybe? I'm never going to be able to find this particular ad. Oh, here's one. Some companies offer dungeons, others dragons, but since 1974, we've been the only company to offer both dungeons and dragons. Other competitive advantage continues with these fine products: Dungeon Survival Guide, and then the Rules Compendium. Get together, roll some dice, have some fun. Yeah, this was circa 2007, right? So this is what we saw a lot of, these kind of ads. It's like 2007 era WotC marketing. Let's see if we can't D&D magazine ads 2007. Okay, there's one. I'm gonna see if I can find more of these. Oh man, there's some good ones from back in the day. This is one? Yep. Oh, this is a poster. Interesting. Oh man, ads for the original D&D movie. Woof. There's obviously like the classic ads that everybody remembers. With the kid in the overalls, everybody remembers that ad, but who needs to hang around? I've got Dungeons and Dragons. That was the classic one, but I'm trying to see if I can find more of these 3rd edition ads because they were really funny. Let's just try 2000s. Yeah, I mean the trick is, you had to be in the right place, right? So I remember, yeah, I remember seeing a lot of D&D ads in my in like video game magazines. Because like I said, a lot of them were targeting people that were playing video games to try and get them to come play D&D as well, for the fact that like you could sit around the table and play together, as opposed to when, online gaming was just starting. You were kind of doing that solo, especially PC games, right? You were usually solo. Let's see. I still can't get over ads for the original D&D movie. I'm gonna just type out exactly. I'm just gonna type out exactly what I want. D&D game ad. If you're going to stay in your basement pretending to be an elf. Oh, found it. Boom. Got it. Let's open this one up. Can we get this full screen though? I don't want it. Here it is. This one, yeah, playdnd.com was the website. So this is the ad that I very vividly remember from a Nintendo Power magazine. If you're gonna sit in your basement pretending to be an elf, you should at least have some friends over to help. Get together, roll some dice, have fun. I vividly remember this image. Because at that point, I was a Nintendo Power subscriber, so I was getting my Nintendo Power magazines in the mail. But this is also very shortly after I had just started playing Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. Here's another one, right? Nobody ever plays a paunchy, balding middle manager from a Midwest paper supply company. I mean, that was like an attack. And this was a poster. Like this is on. You could buy this. This is on eBay, right? You could go buy this one. This was for the launch of one of the Forgotten Realms books, I think. Yeah, as an original, this ad is an original. It was professionally removed from a magazine for display. Yeah, like hardcore attack, essentially, right? Yeah, the ads back in the day were wild. They wanted you to not play video games, and they wanted you to play D&D. That's kind of what the ads were about. I wish I could find more because there were other ads in that campaign run that I showed you with the pretending to be an elf in your basement. There were other ads in that series. I wish I could find them, but yeah. I also kind of want to get those printed, and I would love to just like hang them on the wall just to like, what a time to be alive, or like get that on a shirt. Could I get that on a shirt? That would be kind of funny. I don't know if it'd go over like in my head. This is really funny and would go over well with like people like nerds at like a convention, but it also might have the complete opposite effect and just be taken horribly. But I think it's funny because I remember these ads, you know. I don't know. It's hard to say whether people would take it seriously or, you know, take it out of context. D&D, let's go playdnd.com ads. Let's try that. Playdnd.com ads. See if it pulls up any other ones. No, doesn't look like it. I wonder what happens if you go to playdnd.com nowadays. Where does it take you? Oh, oh man. Yep. Oh, here's a good one. You ready for this? I don't know if you guys are ready for this. At least you'll know when the hot elf chick is a dude. Get together, roll some dice, have fun. Again, I mean, it's a different time, right? This is 2007. It was a different time. You could say things like this, but that's just how things were. Like I said, there was a whole. I think there's at least one other ad that was in this campaign series with like the people in their basement on the computer. Which again, as you could see, between this one and this one, they are very much attacks at people playing computer games, specifically seemingly in basements, and they want you to go play D&D instead. Like that was the thing. It was like a pseudo kind of passive aggressive attack campaign against people playing video games to try to get you to play D&D. So, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. There's one more, I think, in that series of ads. I just don't remember. I wish I could find it. Here's an Etsy one I found on Etsy where somebody's got it. You could buy it in a frame. One of the ads. It was the one with the computer, the first one. Invite some friends over. There's definitely one other ad. Maybe it was the middle manager one that we showed off earlier. I thought there was another one though. I'm not seeing it though. I thought there was one with like a barbarian. What are these? There's some other ones. There were some other ones from back in 2004 when 3rd edition launched. Let's see if we can pull those up here. Yeah, okay. That's that one. Where's the other one? Here? Yeah, let's see. Or is it this one? Oh, yep, here's another one. All right, I got a couple more for you guys. Oh, found another one. Okay. Okay, we found a couple more. All right, let's see. We've got this one. We'll open this in a new tab. This was when the 30th anniversary, we made the first level. So this was 20 years ago, right? This is the launch of 3rd edition. We made the first level. Right? This is we had this one here. We gave boss monsters their first job. Check out that sweet 3rd edition Black Dragon art. Right there. This dude is screwed. We've got this one here. We invented God mode. You've got your cleric here, just with a shield up, just tanking all these enemies. We did it all first, and we still do it best. This is where RPG started. Character building, boss monsters, level advancements, special moves. All of it comes from the granddaddy of them all, the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game. And lastly, I found the final one. Oh, we already looked at that one. Where is it? That's that one. Where is that other one? Your mighty band of heroes will never be defeated by a server crash. So yeah, I want these. I want all of these in poster form. I have decided I want all of these 3.5 attack ads in poster form. I want all of these old school 30th anniversary posters. I would love them in poster form. I don't know why. It's such a like a weird niche thing. But like look, like here it is. I can buy this ad on eBay. I'm wondering if they have other ones. Oh. Oh, look. Oh my God. It's a cinematic universe. Look. This dude, this dude, this dude. They're all having such a bad time. But then everybody over here together is playing. I've never seen this image. I love this. It's the 3 sad people playing computer games and then the super happy party playing D&D. This is hilarious, dude. God, I want all of these. I love this. Turns out I didn't know that the ads were part of a greater multiverse. Huh. Yeah, I want all of those. I want them all. And I want all of the 30th anniversary ones. Here's the Forgotten Realms Grand History one. Yeah. Yeah, I need these in poster form. Yeah. I don't know. They're silly, but like they're a part of D&D history, and obviously they were enough that they stuck with me. Yeah, basically, right? You play video games, you loser, play Dungeons and Dragons like a real nerd. It's just so funny to me. But obviously, you know what? For whatever it's worth, those ads stuck with me for like 20 years. So they did their job, right? They got me. I mean, I was already playing D&D, so it didn't exactly like convert me to it, but it stuck with me and made an impression, which I guess is really all you can expect from a marketing thing. But yeah, I really want these ads and I want to get a poster frame, like even if it's just an 8x10. I want all of them and I want to hang them. I don't know where I'll hang them, but I want to hang them all on a wall, like maybe like on the hallway right outside my office. Like as I walk into this office, hang each one of those. That would be kind of cool. It's so dumb. It is. It's very dumb. But I want it, right? Yeah. I want them all because I think they're super cool. And they're just a piece of history, right? Before they're gone forever. There was even art and like ads for the dragons. Like they had all of the third edition dragons, and they had these art that said character deaths should be dramatic. See this with like the miniatures and like the big pieces of dragon, the big WotC dragons. Show your players what 64 squares full of frightful presents really looks like with the colossal red dragon. Pick one up, put it on your biggest battle map, and have fresh character sheets ready. Wizards.com/minis. This is back when they used to have the D&D miniatures game, because they used to have like a whole separate book. Like I have the D&D miniatures handbook. Here was another one. Here's the Black Dragon one. Give your players a good look at the last thing some of their characters will ever see, the gargantuan black dragon. Pick one up, clear out a big chunk of swampland, and have fresh character sheets ready. I have this dragon, by the way. Although the wings never really stay straight out like that. They usually curl in on these minis. But I think that was the Thordak mini, actually, is what Matt used. This is the WotC colossal red dragon that used the big piece of fire coming out of its mouth. So, anyway, this we went off on a large tangent here away from our original topic, which was just the art and design video that came out earlier. So importantly, we don't know. If I were to look at the WotC website, it doesn't appear as though they have any premieres scheduled for tomorrow. So I'm going to assume, based on the fact that they did have a video today, that we're going to continue to get videos every day around noon. I don't know on what. They did mention at one point they were going to do a video on meta magic specifically, so maybe that'll be tomorrow. I don't know if these are going to be fewer or far between. I don't know how this is going to be set, but they definitely are doing quite a bit of work by ranking in the views for their videos, because they haven't really had a lot of content on their channels outside of like promos for new books. So, to see this, I'm hoping we'll get more videos and I have more opportunities to do more live streams every day, because it's definitely been driving up viewership on the channel, just having a series of videos to do every day. But I also have some other videos that I want to make, because I realize I never covered stuff from the Book of Many Things. I lost Quest from the Infinite Staircase just came out, so we should do a video talking about that stuff as well. Probably just talk about like the new monsters and the new magic items and things like that. But yeah, and then I have some other videos. Somebody mentioned in chat the conversation about the standardization of the subclass levels. That's a conversation for a future video. I've had some thoughts for like top 10 videos pop back in my head. I haven't done those in a while. So I definitely have had some ideas for some content that I want to make. So I definitely will be doing that. And then, like I said, in less than a month, you'll have full Player's Handbook coverage videos launching here on the channel. So, as well as a bunch of WizKids unboxings and other kind of product reviews and Kickstarter stuff and whatnot. So, yeah. I think I'm going to bring this to a close, as it's almost 3:30 in the morning and I do have work tomorrow in just like 4 or 5 hours from now. So, I'm going to go catch some sleep while I can. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.